I've learned a long time ago that rooming with Kevin Ong is a good way to get yourself into new projects and all kinds of trouble. That's where this actually started, was sitting down at an NPDN meeting somewhere, I forget where it was in California. And we're sitting there looking at how can we make this better? And so we started out with this premise. I love a good premise. Every once in a while, it even reflects reality. For how this extension demonstration was going to work. First of all, we're going to have these rose plants put in gardens around the country, and those places are going to be frequented by the public. And we're going to ask folks to report, to make ratings of these rose bushes. This is going to make them more aware of the Sustainable Rose Project in general, but what does rose rosette and block spot look like, how to rate it, and that resistant varieties do exist. This is why breeding programs exist, and there is a future for roses. And we would be interested in looking at a comparison between what all y'all experts do for rating those things and what the public says when they rate those things, see how the public might look at some of this. And a garden might want to, if they're hosting these rose bushes, being part of the study, you might want to actually show some real-time results. If you've got people coming to the gardens, taking their good sweet time to actually participate in this, you want to show, oh, as you wait, you're leaving the garden, look, these many just came in. Here's some recent ratings that came in from our visitors. Just kind of a different way to keep promoting the Sustainable Rose Project and move things forward. So, nice premise for how we think this could work. And then we look at how it goes off the rails. Because we made assumptions, and we all know what happens when you assume. First of all, visitors are interested in what affects roses. I can't imagine any visitor that doesn't like roses, so I think this one's just a gimme. Visitors will be willing to rate the roses and provide data. Okay, maybe going out on a limb, but let's go with it. Visitors might find a scavenger hunt to rate roses fun. Okay, I do know some people out there that would find that to be a good time going through the gardens as a scavenger hunt. The system for rating and data collection can be a self-guided exercise. I don't have to go out there and actually run tours of these. I can just let them loose. And if we build it right, there's something there for them to do. All right, maybe you lost me on this one. Visitors will have access to a smartphone and know how to use it. Okay, I just lost Mark's audience. I'm sorry. I know 72 to 78. My mother is in this age category. No, I just lost my mother to this. She will not be doing that. But for those that are still in the game of this, we can still move forward. QR codes, which you all are seeing them on these cards you have at your tables, and near field communications, for those that wonder what the heck Kevin said when he said NFC, are common enough that people know, oh, I scan that and I do something, or I tap to pay, I tap to report. The last one, gardens will have good cell phone reception and or Wi-Fi. We said botanic gardens. Who goes to that? People in cities, because that's where you got the botanic garden, right? All right, so some of these assumptions might not actually fit for what we aim for. For that, we know we're going to be looking at modifying some of this, coming up with ways to do paper collection of some data, because that's always going to come in, and ways to modify what you're about to see to fit your individual use cases. I will also provide the next disclaimer. This is the first time you've seen it. Heck, it's the first time I've demonstrated it. So we're on the same page there. There may be things that you're like, nice, you're well-intentioned, bless your heart. You need to pivot and really take that in a different direction for how this is going to work for the visitors. I want feedback. Do not be shy. I appreciate Mark's candor. He is a great guy to talk to, and I always love these conversations. You can be as robust as Mark in these conversations with me. So here's what's built, and let's see if we can actually get technology to work for me as opposed to against me. At your table, I put some of these. Right now, the whole reason behind these is, well, let me show the people online. Hey, there they are. This is showing you just the example of what these are going to kind of look like. These are the junky demo versions that I did with a printer in my spare time. They actually work. However, I don't know that I would trust this all season long in South Georgia to survive the heat. The ones we've just ordered do work for outdoor. They're professionally printed, both sides, not just one, with actually a space where you can put a ribbon or a tag through it to actually hang it off the plant.
So just to be clear, each plant will have a tag. So think about plant tag.
Yep. Every plant gets its own tag. And you're wondering, well, that's going to be a pain in the rear to put those out, ain't it? All right, so here's how that works.
No, not like Mark said, no. After doing 1,000 plants.
I know that's I'm glad.
So when these tags start off, they are currently assigned to nothing. They don't know roses exist. The first time they get scanned, I just touch it to the back of the phone.
I've never used one of those, so I'm serious.
It is fancy. I do like it. Touch to the back of your phone with your phone on. For those of you who are trying this right now on your tables, the reason it's not going anywhere, you don't have a password. I don't have it set up to know that you exist. I hope to do that during the breakout sessions and get you all set up. That's to provide some security so that if somebody gets a hold of one of these and starts saying, well, I'm just going to go put this out in the middle of my pool. People are weird. They do crazy stuff like that. They don't get into our system and start messing with our data. So with this, I've scanned it. It comes up and says, all right, this is not currently assigned to any site. Are you going to create a site and assign this to something? Are you going to assign this tag because you're replacing a tag that was out in the field? Or did you already make the site somewhere else? You just want to assign the tag in. So in most cases, I'm going to create and assign this site. It's coming up then with a form and says, all right, what garden are you at? Well, all I see is test garden in here. My garden is not called test garden. I want to put one in.
So real quick to explain what he's going through is what we in the extension group are going to be doing. And the collaborators, hopefully, if you're interested, you can help us do that with your plots as well.
So, oh, I can spell my own name. Yes, I can.
So this is a one-time deal about tagging it, geotagging it in the field. So this is when we go out there with the sign, those tags to the individual plants. We have an Excel sheet with one, so we can upload them. And so it gives each plant a unique identity.
Right. So I've got at the top there, I just put in what garden I'm a part of. I can name the rows whatever the heck I feel like. And as I scroll down this page, I can see it already pulled my location. It knows I'm at the Clyde M. York Training Center. It's geocoding off my phone and saying, oh, that's where you are. And I'm kind of hoping that's where you are when you're planting the rows. So it's already got all that filled out. You kind of just look at the picture to make sure it's actually representing where you're at. If you needed to move it around, you could tap on the map and move that point to wherever you feel like. And then with this, we're actually setting it up that you might want just rosette ratings at some places. You might want black spot at others. You can actually pick which things you want reported at that site. You can also come down and fill out the cultivar. We've got a list of about 3,500 cultivars in here. Go ahead and select that from the list. Any notes you want about that site, and then hit that button at the bottom that says Save Site and Assign. You have just assigned that tag to that rose bush, that cultivar, that location. Everything is now locked in our server when you hit that button. So you never have to record that data ever again. You don't have to worry about your data sheet. You don't have to worry about putting in Excel. You don't have to worry about keeping things all synced up. After you've done that once, make sure I'm holding the right card, because I got a couple of these. There we go. So this one was already assigned. I scan it. It comes up and says, oh, you're part of the Rose Rosette project. You're currently at test 1. I don't know why you called your rose test 1, but you did. And you're reporting for Rose Rosette disease. Huh, severity scale. These pictures look really, really familiar. I can tap to pick what the different ratings are. If I want, I can start taking pictures from my phone and add those into this report. And then I hit submit. We put some intelligence into it. It wasn't artificial. We just thought it out ourselves. That if somebody said that it was a healthy rose plant, but there's one rosette per plant, we shouldn't let that go through. Because, yeah, son of a gun, that's just not right. So I can go ahead and submit this in. The data is now up at my server. You can download it anytime you want. The dashboards for this have all updated that someone just reported Rose Rosette. And now it's prompting the person to say, all right, you just did Rose Rosette. That's great. We appreciate that. Would you like to report black spot? That's the next one we got on our list. Or do you just want to see the map? So I'll go to report black spot. And I know some of you, so it's telling me at the top here, reported by you at this site, at this rose bush. You already did Rose Rosette. We got that. Folks, I need some pictures of black spot. The ones to match the rating scale. We need to get all the ones for the different categories. So I got 6 up top for 0 through 9. I got 6 down bottom for 0 through 9. These are so that the gardener who comes up and looks at this has an idea of how to rate.
So then one of the things that we thought about was, instead of using pictures, was to draw, have drawings, because then it would be a math for somebody who look at it to kind of rate on either the correlation or
what kind of picture did whole plant? Okay. You did.
This is the fun part where I get to go. Whatever pictures y'all send me and the extension group has discussed, I ain't gonna argue. I'll worry about the database and keeping everything secure and running. You all worry about the 12 pictures I need here. And let me know what that is. So I go through and I mark this for the ratings for black spot. Hey, rating successful. Notice it doesn't say, do you want to report anything else? Because I already did them all for the day. We're trying to limit someone from going back in 10 times in one day on the same plant. If I want to show the map, then it's showing me a point on a map for where that site is. That map or that point is currently green because I reported at it today. That legend up there shows if it's yellow. Well, I've been to that site before and reported previously, and I love going to this garden. So I'm going to come back through and report those again. Or Hey, here's a spot, it's a red one. I've never reported at that. So if over time these locations change in the garden, all you have to do is go out, scan a new tag, locate it, and now the scavenger hunt gets interesting because sometimes the targets are moving in the landscape if you had to remove a rose bush or replace it. With this, you can also go to the home page, see what's going on, and we've got a little dashboard for folks. All right, we have 2 records that have come in, 1 reporter, 2 gardens that have reports in here. We've got 1 at sites. Hey, who are the top reporters? Who sent in the most data? This dashboard is customizable per garden. So if you do have a place you want this to be on a kiosk or something in your front of your gardens, I'll get with your IT folks. We'll figure out how to set it up for what you need, and it's going to focus only on what your garden's currently doing. These were also the first draft of this dashboard. So if you all go, I like where you started. I'd really like this. Okay, let's talk about where we go next for that. There's been some debate about whether we should show rankings of who's the #1 reporter, because sometimes that makes some people go a little nutty and over competitive. I leave that for you all to decide and we will implement. But this gives you a pretty decent way to go out and report it. Later down the road, you are the experts. You go to do your reports, walk up to the exact same tag, scan it. You're going to be collecting that data for yourself. I know who you are. So later when I pull out the experts versus the everyone else, I can pull that out from the data and we can do the comparisons. There is one simplification I did in this process, that prior to doing all this, I signed in to my account, which is why you did not see a login screen. You did not see a sign up screen. Those screens do exist. We do know the identity of the individuals that are making the reports. Yeah.
This app, is it only mobile, or can you also pull it on a desktop?
So this, because we were making the assumption that you had a decent internet outside, this is a mobile website. It's responsive, pulls up on desktop, pulls up on your phones, pulls up on tablet, all that just fine. It means you won't find it in the App Store. That was kind of a bit of a compromise.
A couple of things too to note. If you look at that card, which is going to be the plant tag, you'll notice it's not only a near field NFC tag, but it's also a QR code on there. So somebody can also take a picture, use a QR code. So there are 2 ways of assessing that website. Now, the other thing is, depending on where the research demonstration is, you might want to put that on a plant tag. And it's a little bit tricky if it's a metal plant tag, but we can try and work something out. Or if you have a different type of tag you want to put on to match the rest of the garden, you can use just a QR code there for that purpose as well. So we try to look at this and make it as flexible as possible. And so for the part on the research side, applied research side, what we want to try to do is to get that ratings and to be able to look and analyze the ratings, and then look at the going back, as for the variety trial alone, we are talking about 19 varieties at some sets with replications at multiple places. And we're going to have some back information on that too, when it was planted, the weather conditions. So we are able to try and match up and look at it statistically, hopefully glean more information to learn about this disease and when and whatnot in terms of symptom development. The other thing on what you saw with the dashboard, I think Joe had mentioned that we can work with certain groups that have public gardens that want to use it on a kiosk. So something like a desktop to basically have an interface where people can see and interact with it. But the goal of catching the information, again, the assumption there is that they would have some smart devices. Now, obviously, with a segment of the demographic that would not use that type of technology, You know, it's something that we have to rethink. And I think Mark mentioned something is with your group here, you actually have it on paper for them to fill in.
We will have it both ways,
Uh-huh.
but we're going to have two mailboxes where if they want a paper copy, they can pull it out, fill it out, put it in the other one. And then those are going to be collected once a week. And we hope that there's some way that we can enter them into the database.
And I think we can, because each one of those tags, it basically gives the individual plan an identity. And I bet we could probably tie in it with a number or something.
Sure.
So
I think the two of you will figure that out. I have confidence in both of you.
with enough beer, yes, we can.
This is Bruce Monroe. As I mentioned earlier, I work with a public garden in Wilmington. I question how much useful information about severity you're going to get from public gardens. In our garden, we have volunteers in there twice a week who are trained to recognize rose rosette disease. As soon as they see it, that plant's gone. And I suspect that's the case with other public gardens. I know you've got people from Steve Scaniello and some other people on public gardens there who may want to comment too about how long they leave a plant that shows symptoms of rose rosette disease.
And we did take into account of that. I think with some of our collaborators, we asked if they were willing to go a couple of years with it, and we realized some public gardens are not going to be able to do that. And so that's one of those things is I know Joe and I have been talking, we need to talk to statistician and within the extension group, how do we deal with data where what's going to happen is there are going to be some data sets where you get maybe a rating at some point and then there's no rating from a certain point on. Can we make the assumption, or at least, you know, ground truth it at some point that the principal investigator or the investigator is out there looking at the plots, doing a follow-up and every 6 months and said, this plant is gone. And so tag it that way. So realizing that we may be dealing with partial data.
We follow Mark Winham's advice, which is as soon as you see it, get rid of it.
He's following my advice there.
Mark says that's your problem because you were following his advice. So
No, but seriously, you've got a valid concern. But we are used to dealing with, I mean, plants die all the time for one thing or another. Having unbalanced data sets is just it's a reality of life. That's gonna happen. And in the public, you know, if one gets virus over here, we'll just call it great. It's a inoculum, you know, for test. But in a public garden, that plant's gotta go. And you know, that's just a fact of life.
One thing I'd like to mention, if you remove it because it's roses, then you don't like to remove it.
yeah,
Right.
That itself is data.
That is.
yeah.
To show how quickly you have to take it out and measure how susceptible it is. So
I
that's
agree.
okay as long as it's reported and the reason for the removal is reported.
And I can build into this that you scan the tag, it goes, oh, I know you, you're the one that put the tag. So what are you doing right now? Oh, I'm removing this because we're taking the bush out. Log that in the database. I now have the endpoint for that. That solves that. It's all just logistics. We got multiple folks in the room, so we'll start and go around.
If you want to go up front and talk, so online people can hear you.
I just wanted to make a comment on the usefulness of the data. Even if it would be good to have a extra data point there where if a plant gets removed, that is logged as removed. So it's not just the scale of symptoms, but also the ultimate death, you know?
Equally done.
And then the other thing is, I think we're always going to have a set of plants that are not part of public gardens that we are evaluating for disease, you know, over several years. And so we'll always have some background data about how disease progresses over time, whether, you know, it is really important to remove that plant right when you see symptoms or not. And so I think it's still useful information, even if in some cases we just lose the data after one season or something like that.
And here comes the group I'm most excited to hear from, which is the gardens that are actually doing this stuff. Bated breath, waiting, no pressure.
I've got the scratches to prove it. What we're actually right now, we have about, I think, Ben, is it 44 plants ready to be removed? We found a whole bunch of Rosa multiflora in the park that surrounds the Elizabeth Park Rose Garden. And it would be impossible for us to pull them out and dispose of them in one day's time. So we're going to be cutting them back regularly, pretty severely, sort of to annoy the plants. And maybe they'll finally give up on us and go away. But eventually they will be removed. And it's just going to take some time. Some of these plants are since 1904. And it's heartbreaking to have to do this. And we also keep in our nursery a good supply of potted roses that will go into the garden as plants disappear. We put new plants in. And hi, Bruce.
John, I like your idea, and I see what you get out of it really clearly. What the participants are getting doesn't seem like that great a reward to me. But I have an example of something that might work. I do a lot of mountain bike riding, and there's this webpage I follow, and occasionally they do a survey, and they have oftentimes kind of dumb questions, but kind of interesting. And an example is, how often do you wash your bike? You know, you get your bike really muddy and all. Every time I ride, once a year, never, you know, like 5 choices. You don't see anything until you participate in the survey. And then you do it and bing, right away a screen point pops up and you see how many people answered the 5 questions. You wouldn't want to put, you know, the absolute ratings in here, but you could say, maybe this plant's a dog or this plant's a good one, or, you know, 3 categories, but they get an instant feedback of what did everybody else think? You know, I know what I put down. It's just an idea.
Thank you. So if I hear you correctly, so on the dashboard would be something like, hey, this trial is done in multiple places. You contributed. These are the different 19 varieties that we're looking at. This is where the ratings are.
Does it just need to be on the dashboard, or does it need to be, I just reported on this one rose bush. Tell me right now, across the entire network, for everyone else who reported, was I close? So you're hitting them every single time they report.
And they do it, they get a little, they get a cookie.
Yeah.
Number of people that said this.
The dopamine lollipop. Yay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for that idea.
If you can pull something like that off, it sounds silly, but we live in a society of instant feedback.
Mark? Can we pull this off?
But I'm sure you can, yeah.
I mean, we just did for Joro Spider, which some of you have heard of. We have Joro Watch and we're doing that up. We had 2,000 reports over the course of 4 weeks of us really promoting it, all because we were going to give people stickers if they reported. People, the stickers were cheap, but they're nice, they're cute. There were other comments. Industry sponsors would be fun. Supporting sustainable rose. Sounds like Delaney has her work cut out for her.
Thank you. Are you offering? Are you offering? Thank you.
If I can make you happy with a sticker, I got it.
No, you're gonna make the stakeholders, the general public happy. Thank you.